Visit safeticketcompare.com and see all ticket prices listed in one place. Get the best ticket deals from safe and trusted websites. Our website contains all major fixtures and all tickets listed are 100% safe, secure and guaranteed.
What's going on everyone, and welcome back to another video. My name is Toman and today's analysis video is going to be about the expected new manager of Chelsea, Frank Lampard. So after spending just one season at Derby County and helping them to get to the championship playoffs, Lampard is now set to take charge at Chelsea. In today's video we will try to analyze Frank Lampard's style of play, and we will also try to see what he can offer to Chelsea. Lampard's defensive organisation is very close to the one that Chelsea used throughout the last season under Mauricio Sarri. But Lampard's defensive shape was slightly different, and in fact it had some weak points as well. Just like Chelsea, Lampard's Derby also played with a high defensive line, and their shape without possession was often 4-5-1. 4-5-1 without possession with a very high defensive line and a giant midfield line of 5 players, playing in front of the Chelsea midfield as the plan is to block the passing lanes from the defense to the midfield third. Same defensive concept that Sarri used at Chelsea, defending by pressing the ball. And since the Derby midfield was playing in front of the Chelsea midfield to block the passing lanes, so the entire Chelsea midfield is now taken out, and Derby now have 5v3 to attack Chelsea's backline. But there were a few defensive issues that Derby faced throughout the last season. So as I said earlier, Sarri and Lampard both like to play with a very high defensive line, but there was one thing that Lampard's Derby were missing. Mauricio Sarri wanted his team to defend as a very close unit, and by a close unit we mean keeping the distance in between the lines very narrow and moving as a unit. But the gaps in between Derby's lines were often too big, and that cost them heavily. The gap in between the midfield and defensive line is too big, and Ruben drops in the gap to receive the pass from Cahill. And now the fullback is left in a 1v2 position. Since the gap between the lines was too big, so the Derby midfielder cannot cover Zappacosta, and the fullback was taken out by Ruben Loftus-Cheek. This was the same issue that Manchester United faced under Jose Mourinho. Derby's midfield line often pushed really high, and that opened the gap in between the midfield and the defense. And the defense also at the same time failed to play the offside trap. Same issue once again. Defensive line fails to play the offside trap. Big gap between the midfield and the defense, which means the midfield is once again unable to provide any protection to the defense. Because of the big gap in between the lines, Derby's midfield still hasn't moved to their goal box to support their defense, and Aston Villa are trying to take full advantage of it by creating an overload at the far post. Derby only managed to play the offside trap 51 times this season, while Chelsea played the offside trap 113 times this season. The difference in numbers is of course due to the difference in the quality of the two squads, and this is why Lampard will hopefully do well with better players. Large in between the lines distance gives you an advantage offensively, as your midfield and front lines are closer to the opposition goal box, and you can hit on counter-attacks. But at the same time, it also leaves you exposed defensively, especially on transitions, as your defense has no protection whatsoever. From the first example where Derby scored the goal against Chelsea, we can see that the distance in between the lines was very narrow. So Lampard also wants them to defend as a close unit, but the difference was of course due to the quality of his squad, and those young boys often made mistakes. Hopefully Lampard won't have to face these issues at Chelsea, as they have already learned to defend in such a style under Mauricio Sarri. Chelsea's biggest issue last season was their lack of use of the wide spaces and the lack of use of 6-yard space. While Derby on the other hand used both the wide spaces and the 6-yard space very extensively last season. The wingers moved narrow and they forced the opposition fullbacks in to create spaces on the wide areas. The fullbacks pushed really high to provide attacking width and play crosses inside the box. The midfielders also pushed up to attack the goal box and help in the offense. Crosses, cutbacks from the wide areas and attacking the box in numbers. Crowding the central zone and forcing the weakened defense to get narrow, to create space on the flank for the fullbacks. Attacking the box in numbers and using the fullbacks to exploit the wide spaces. 5v5 inside the box, which is a nightmare for any defensive unit. Derby scored many goals using these wide spaces and the combination of crosses, cutbacks. But it won't be so easy for Chelsea, as they don't have quality fullbacks who can exploit those wide spaces and play accurate crosses or cutbacks in the box. And Chelsea's midfielders also don't attack the goal box, and if the midfielders won't attack the goal box, then they won't create 1v1 chances in the goal box. And N'Golo Kante, Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Mason Mount are the three midfielders in the current Chelsea squad who like to make runs inside the box, so we can see them getting involved a lot under Frank Lampard. But fortunately for Chelsea, they do have Callum Hudson-Odoi and Christian Pulisic, who are both very good at crossing.
Perfect.
If Frank Lampard tries to go with the same approach at Chelsea, then both Tammy Abraham and Michy Batshuayi can prove to be very vital for Chelsea, as they're both poachers and they both thrive on crosses cutbacks. Derby scored the joint most goals on counter-attacks in the championship this season. They executed the pattern of counter-attacks very nicely and scored 5 goals on counter-attacks, joint most with West Brom. Step 1. Win possession for your team. Step 2. Look for the developing play. Play an early pass to a teammate in the space. Step 3. Spot the attack. 2v2 at the back, and the final step is of course end product, scoring the goal. Lampard wants his team to press the opponents high up the pitch, but there were some issues with their pressing. The issues that Derby faced with their pressing were almost identical to the ones that Chelsea also faced under Maurizio Sarri at the start of the season. Man-oriented pressing, blocking the passing options of the man in possession, and forcing the opponents to make mistakes. But Derby's high press was not compact, as they did not move as a unit, and the defense did not spot the high press, which often created gaps in their shape. Once again, the front and midfield lines are pushing up to press Aston Villa's backline and stop their build-up. Quick one-touch passing and Al-Mohammadi is now free to run, because Derby's defense did not spot the high press, and the fullbacks did not push up to mark the opposition fullbacks. Derby's defense did not contribute in the high press, and as a result, they are now outnumbered in the midfield, as their front line was taken out too easily. The pressing was not done as a compact unit, and hence spaces in the midfield. Chelsea had the same issues at the start of the season under Maurizio Sarri, and they were defeated badly in the Community Shield against Manchester City, mainly due to their lack of compactness. But with time, Chelsea got better at it, and started moving and pressing as a compact unit. Lampard is very flexible when it comes to the build-up play. He mostly wants his team to build from the back, but he's happy to go with a more direct approach against quality opponents. Mauricio Pochettino does the same at Tottenham. His team play from the back against teams who are not good at pressing, and he's happy to go with a direct approach against quality opponents. During the build-up phase, the centre-backs move wide, and the defensive midfielder drops in between the two centre-backs. Very similar structure to what Chelsea did this season. Tammy Abraham is marking Huddleston, so Mason Mount drops behind the first line of pressure to receive the pass from his teammate. Mason Mount receives the pass from his centre-back, and now one-touch passing to break Aston Villa's high press. But as I said earlier, Lampard is very flexible when it comes to the build-up. and he's happy to go with a more direct approach that involves a target man. Using a target man who pulls the centre back away, wins the first ball and lays it off in the space for Wilson. Frank Lampard's biggest strength is his tactical flexibility. He's happy to change his system and formation depending upon the opponents. So what are your thoughts on Lampard managing Chelsea? Comment below and let me know. Thank you so much guys for watching the video. Usually my videos are not that long, but in order to give a brief look of what Lampard can offer to Chelsea, it was needed to cover everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.